Tyrion is here again, but this time let's talk about these guys right here, Eagle Claw Bolt Throwers. I've been discussing them quite a bit recently in various High Elf games, and we've had a good discussion about using them on single shot against like Chosen, for example, on my Chosen with Halberds video, and just kind of in general. They've been featured a lot recently. Here, though, I want to talk about a special kind of niche for the Eagle Claw, and I guess Reaper Bolt Thrower as well. It's a counter-artillery roll, so you'll note one thing just as I kind of look visually. You can see there is a big difference between these Warp Lightning Cannons and the Eagle Claw Bolt Thrower, and the big difference is big, right? Warp Lightning Cannons are huge unit models compared to these tiny Eagle Claw Bolt Throwers. Also, Eagle Claw Bolt Throwers are much cheaper in terms of base cost, right? And they are also pretty accurate. Warp Lightning Cannon's fairly accurate as well, do more damage, but in a counter-artillery fight, the fire rate and the accuracy can matter more. And here, with these chevrons, these guys are up to 850, I think, with these chevrons, rank 5. They can, yeah, do some work. Already destroyed one Warp Lightning Cannon as Tyrion gets in here, starts mixing it up with Ikit. I've gone with a no frontline build, which we've also seen a bit recently. Archer is currently not forgotten about, just in tactical reserve, I swear. A couple of Lion Chariots, Illyrian Reavers. This is up against Big Pun here. We've got Poison Wind Mortar, the 2, Warp Lightning Cannons, a bunch of infantry, Rat Ogres, including Storm Vermin Sword and Shield, which is a nice touch in this matchup. Skaven Slave Slingers. My Illyrian Reavers already rushing in the flanks here, just kind of hit and run attacks, trying to keep the Skaven in place as I move up. And here goes Final Transmutation, Overcast, just to say goodbye mortars. So this will one-shot them. So for those of you guys who don't like the weapons teams, the mortar teams, if you take Final Transmutation and Overcast, it just one-shots them. So it is maybe a little bit of overkill, but there's no kill like overkill against those foul beings. Anyway, the Rat Ogres come in, kind of push my cavalry away. I pull back to try and get the support of the archers, realizing, oh hey, I have archers. Oh, there's a Arcane Phoenix here as well. But Ikit here in the center, along with his Rat Ogres, ROR Rat Ogres even, doing a number on Tyrion. He just has not been able to disengage from this blob. It's taken a lot of HP damage, so looking for that Heart of Averlorn proc soon. You saw he got that great Sunfang. It was just on a Skaven Slave at the beginning, so not really amazing. But thankfully the Lion Chariots are able to keep operating here once we get rid of these Rat Ogres. And even with the Rat Ogres, talked a little bit about how Skaven Mass is kind of worse in the game in terms of their infantry, so Chariots still very good against them. Likewise, the Lion Chariots with their missile resistance and decent HP and armor, very tanky as well. You can see Tyrion does get his healing proc there as he kind of runs up and around this ridge. This is the Ogham Shard map, which is a pretty underrated map for multiplayer in my opinion. They do need to make the deployment zones bigger, but as things stand right now, things are looking great. The Bolt Thrower has got its damage value in spades just from taking out the artillery pieces. This crew is actually dismounted from the artillery, which, you know, maybe I should wait for them to remount, but I don't even want them to get the opportunity to, so I'm going to try and shoot them. I think this other crew is actually coming to remount as well. Fun fact, since we're talking about an artillery duel here, the artillery crews can actually remount any of the same piece. That does not include Regiments of Renown, though, as that technically counts as a different unit, but like a regular Warp Lightning Cannon crew can remount a different Warp Lightning Cannon from the one they came from. Does not matter. So that's fun. Those guys are going to be able to remount that and potentially use up their ammo. So in a situation like this, if he were able to protect these Warp Lightning Cannons, he could do that. But he is not. The archers come forward and protected by the Reavers, kind of these piecemeal Skaven units coming out to attack them. It's not going to be great. Flensing Ruin cast over here on the Phoenix, which is tying up a whole bunch of resources. But could potentially go down here, and it does. No healing proc for the Phoenix. Does do a nice little explosion there, but the charge of the Lion Chariots rushing in, fortunately, is not enough. That Flensing Ruin and the Rat Ogre is able to finish it off there, so the other Lion Chariot's going to peel. Tyrion did come back. He managed to get bailed out by those Lion Chariots there, so with his healing proc, he can come back in, try and smack down Ikit's Tricycle. Ikit, of course, doing his fancy spins. Metal Mage comes in as well. Lion Chariots get a charge. Here come the Rat Ogres, but we need the Lion Chariots to kind of body block for Tyrion so he doesn't get caught up in that blob. So having to just use the mass of them for the time being. The archers also come forward. If I take a look at the firing arcs here, you can see they're just all focusing on the Rat Ogres at this point. And Reavers are having a cycle charge Storm Vermin, which is not amazing. They will do it, given enough time. But you can see, again, this other crew comes back, remounts this one piece. My Bolt Thrower is out of ammo at this point, though, unfortunately. But, I mean, even paying $850 for it, it basically kills 2 Warp Lightning Cannons, more or less by itself, which is just amazing. Nice Sunfang here on these Storm Vermin. That's going to be some good value. Ikit's gone. Another final transmutation to finish off the Pit Fighters of Hell's Deep. And that does send them into the Enrage, of course. We'll also tear away some models from the Storm Vermin, so that's decent value there. I say Ikit's dead. He's actually not. He's ransacking my archers here, just striking them with foul lightning, pushing through on his motorbike. Man, I actually really like the flare mount for Ikit. Makes him pretty small. In my opinion, the Doom Wheel also offers a lot of upside, but it's decent. Nice little overcast there. Does actually explode the archers as well, so that's a big brain play, although it hurts Ikit a little bit too. The Storm Vermin Sword and Shield are also here now, relatively healthy, inundating the archers. Not a lot I can do about it, except, look at that, there's one Lion Chariot still here with decent enough HP. 3 models still online. The Reavers also have been just absolute godsend here in keeping these Skaven units routed and allowing now the Lions to come back and collapse on the Armored Vermin here in the dark rain of Albion. This is actually a map that's on Albion, right? Because the Ogham Shard, it's a quest for Nakai, item for Nakai, so this is his quest battle map, and this is on Albion, so it's a pretty fun one. I'm a big fan of this kind of like Stonehenge thing here. Decently balanced as well. I mean, one player does kind of start with this hill, but you don't deploy on it, like you kind of deploy forward from it, and actually your opponent can Vanguard deploy somewhat in those ruins. The line kind of runs through it, but anyway, it'll be a victory for Tyrion and the High Elves there. Bolt Thrower proving its value, and blowing up the artillery pieces themselves I don't believe counts for the damage value, right? So you're not going to see that reflected in this stat here, but just destroying, I think, what, 5 out of the 6 actual guns themselves means that the crews just can't operate them, right? And that in and of itself, you know, great benefit there, definitely very cost effective. And even generated a little bit of value, probably just hitting other random stuff all around as well. The Phoenix, Arcane Phoenix, really rough. The Lion Chariots, though, one of them came in super handy in the late game, didn't quite pay for themselves, but the mass and the HP and the disruption was quite nice there. Reavers also faced some initial tough engagements, but pulled back and then got back in there and did some things. Archers also, one of them very cost effective, but generally paying for themselves. Metal Mage also, very nice. Yeah, just one click delete the mortars, who got 0 kills, 0 damage value, and that's what we like to see, right? That's what we love to see, because mortars are just terrible, and yeah, I'm not a fan of the Poisoned Wind units. Tyrion also basically paying for himself, maybe not quite, but pretty close. Ikit also, same thing, pretty cost effective there, both lords contributing. Chaff definitely got run over hard, and Chaff is generally cost effective, but only one of them actually paid for themselves this time. Storm Vermin, again, only one of them paid for themselves. I like them decently well in this matchup, but yeah, didn't have, I mean, they're more meant to just hold while these missile units do the work, right? Thankfully, I was able to counter the missile units, though, which is a significant spend, right? Like almost 3,000 points. Skaven Slave Slingers, probably one of the most cost-effective missile units in the game, basically all paid for themselves. The Rat Ogres, too, all did a really nice amount of damage to the chariots and to Tyrion, so it was decently cost-effective. It's a fun one. Definitely the kind of metal mage to take out the weapons teams, the mortars, and then the bolt thrower, maybe key bolt thrower or 2. You don't really need a lot, especially with a build like this where you play very aggressive and up. No front line needed, just cavalry charges, hit and run, archers to support, chariots to disrupt and deal lots of damage. We've got the Terror from the Phoenix, and it can also tank, as can Tyrion. And yeah, the bolt thrower for counter-artillery purposes, and it worked out quite well, I have to say. Give me your thoughts on this type of build, though, and in general, using the Eagle Claw in a counter-artillery role. I guess this is kind of the highlight of the Eagle Claw, which it's good at doing a lot of other things, but I would say this is probably kind of its best... how do I word this? It's the best counter-artillery piece in the game, in my opinion. Other ones outrange it, and like cannons are around the same size, but... I'd have to kind of look at the files. I believe Eagle Claw bolt throwers are slightly more accurate than cannons and can have a better refire rate too, especially if they're juiced up to the same cost. We might as well just jump straight into a custom battle screen and just look at this quickly. Like I mentioned, the High Elf Bolt Thrower does have a little bit better range than the Dark Elf Bolt Thrower. It's got 380. The Dark Elf Bolt Thrower does get a damage spike while Murderous Prowess is active, since it buffs missile damage. Armor-piercing missile damage, so you get a little bit of benefit there. But at the same time, only 350 range, so you do trade off a slight bit of range there, but 380's good enough that on most maps you can still get within range, say, of like a cannon. 450 range on an Empire cannon is pretty significant difference. Definitely 70 range. That's like, you know, like a Pistolier's range almost difference between them, which is significant. It's not massive, but cannons are slightly larger. They're also more expensive baseline. Again, you can juice these guys up with some chevrons to an equivalent cost, and their refire rate, it's that much better. Their missile damage is lower per shot, right, than the Empire great cannons, but because artillery models don't have that much damage or that much health anyway, like cannons, because their fire rate's kind of slow, like you really, 20-second reload time, so you really have to pray to RNGesus that you get hits, otherwise you can lose. Like, it's very RNG dependent. Bolt throwers are just a little bit more reliable, and they have literally half the reload time with this chevron setup, and yeah, they do less damage per, but I want to say, I need to double check this, so don't take this as gospel, but I believe the cannon models do count as large, maybe not, I don't know. But regardless, you know, 120 missile damage, 150 damage overall is enough, right, that you can deal with the cannon pieces. Skaven artillery are some of the worst in counter-artillery situations because they have the largest unit models. But yeah, kind of an interesting thing against, you know, like Coast, Dwarfs, Skaven. You can bring bolt throwers, and it is a little bit RNG dependent too. Like, if you spam them and you don't win the artillery duel, you can lose, or if they go with a rush build, you might not have enough to protect them. So I wouldn't necessarily recommend going all in on these guys, but one or two especially is insurance against faction, or if there's a player that you know likes bringing artillery, then yeah, that's definitely a solid add for that purpose. Anyway, let me know your guys' thoughts down below. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. Every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.